Our next guest is Mr. Alan Lau. He is the CEO and co-founder of Wattpad, the global multi-platform entertainment company, where he leads the company's vision to entertain and connect the world through stories.
Alan is a leader in Canada's technology sector and startup ecosystem. He's also a member of the Canadian Council of Innovators, a lobby group that advances the interest of Canadian technology companies at all levels of government. And in addition, he's the co-founder of Two Small Fish Ventures. It's a fund that invests in Toronto and Waterloo-based early-stage internet companies.
So Alan is also the winner of 2013 ACCE Most Innovative Award. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Mr. Alan Lau, to the stage.
Good evening. It's my extreme honor to be invited back to here on stage to talk to you tonight as a past winner. Very glad that I'm able to come here to share my story with you tonight. We have 9 winners tonight, and in this special occasion, of course we want to celebrate the success. But entrepreneurship is more than just about success. Of course we have to celebrate the success, but we also have to celebrate the grit, the effort, the tenacity, and the perseverance. And tonight, I would like to share the Wattpad story, but not the part of the Wattpad story that you see in the press, but the part of the Wattpad story that you normally would not see in the press, the part that is about sweat, about tears, and occasionally about blood. So I have prepared about 200 slides for the next 2 hours, just kidding. Only 10 slides tonight, and it's very different than I would normally do because most of the slides would not have any text. This is almost the exception, because I want you to listen to me, listen to my journey, and focus on my journey. So before I start, I would like to make sure everyone knows what the company does, what Wattpad does. So allow me to spend 30 seconds to explain what we do. If people ask me what Wattpad is, my answer would be like the following. Wattpad is a global entertainment company. With our app lets our 65 million monthly users discover and share stories from science fiction to romance and everything in between. Our studios then, based on our data and insight and built-in audience, we'll take the best stories in our community and then partner with the entertainment industry and the publishing industry to turn them into movies, into TV shows, into print books, and other digital media. I guess the best way to help me explain what we do is to ask you to spend 30 seconds to watch a video. The company started in year 2006, but the idea actually started in year 2002. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Before I started Wattpad, I was the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Tira Wireless. Tira Wireless is a mobile gaming company. We did our own game. We published our own games, like NHL Power Shot Hockey. But we also publish games for other publishers like Disney, Sony, and Time Warner. And at one point, all the Disney games were published by Tira. But there's one secret that I normally would not share with other people. We kind of accidentally got into gaming. That was not the original purpose. And I don't play games. I don't like playing games. So I'm not that passionate with the business that I was building at that time. So in my spare time, I wanted to do something that I feel useful, that I can use myself. I love gadgets, so I want to build something that's about mobile. And at the same time, I love to read. So I had the idea that everyone should be reading on a mobile phone. And remember, it was year 2002. The most popular phone at that time was the candy bar Nokia phone that you can read 3 lines of text at a time. So of course, once I've done the prototype, I realized that no one is going to use it. Even I would not use it. So I parked that idea. And then fast forward to year 2006. The most popular phone at that time was the Motorola Razr, as you may recall. And on that phone, you can read 10 lines of text at a time. So the crazy entrepreneur me thought, perhaps timing is right for me to restart this idea. So I was busy coding in my basement to resurrect this idea. And then out in the blue, now my Wattpad co-founder, Ivan, and I knew him for many years because he used to work for Tira as well. Out in the blue, he instant messaged me. Hey, Alan, I'm working on a new product idea. Can you give me some feedback? Here is the link. And when I click on that link, guess what I saw? I saw Ivan was working on a mobile reading app on the Razr phone as well. Not only that, he was one step ahead of me. He also created a website where people can freely share their stories. So instantly, my heart was pounding like a hammer because Ivan is one of the smartest I've ever worked with. If both Ivan and I came up with the same idea, it must be a good idea. So instantly, I flew to Vancouver to meet with him. He was living in Vancouver at that time. And then we met in the airport for 3 hours. And then we decided, let's start the company. And when I came home and talked to my wife, Eva, I told her about this idea. Hey, everyone will be reading on the mobile phone. Mark my word, a year from now, 1 million people would be using our product. And then I still remember that look on her face. You're such an idiot. No one is going to use it. And I have to say I'm grateful that she still marries me today. So we started the company. And this is a screenshot that I took in year 2006 in my basement. As you can see, I was reading Moby Dick on my Razr phone. And in the beginning, no one was sharing any story on Wattpad. So we were only using the public domain books like Charles Dickens, Moby Dick, and all those public domain content to try to attract users. And when we first launched the product, as I said, we were aiming for 1 million users in the first year. And to put things into perspective, it wasn't that ambitious. YouTube, they attracted 40 million users in the first year. So 1 million is pretty modest in the Canadian way. And then we launched the product. We were spot on, except that we missed by a few zeros. In the first month, we signed up maybe 100 users. And then the next month, about the same. The third month, about the same. So in about a year, at the end of year 2007, Ivan and I, we went out for a cup of coffee. And this is what I told Ivan. And by the way, at that time, we were using advertising as the source of revenue. And I was telling Ivan this. Ivan, last week, we got a check from Google, and that's our monthly revenue. And that's exactly $2. it's not working. Wattpad is not working. That $2 is only enough to buy this cup of Tim's. And we have to share because we don't have enough money to buy 2 cups. So obviously we were really struggling. $2 is not going to be enough to sustain a business. But at the end, we decided, let's not give up. Let's continue. Because no one is using this. We spent $5 in hosting. We are $3 away from break even. That's how we were thinking, and let's continue. But of course, $2 is not enough. So we were doing part-time jobs, we were doing consulting, we were doing a million things on the side to keep us going. And we have 2 families to feed, but we try our best. And then in 2008, something magical happened. The App Store launched, and a little search company called Google launched an operating system on mobile called Android. And a little company called Facebook has over 50 million users. Sharing on the internet is not that awkward anymore. Reading on mobile, using a mobile phone to do things other than phone calls is not that awkward anymore. Everyone started using this. So timing is working on for us. The wind is starting to be on our back. So Wattpad started to take off. And in year 2009, we raised about $500,000 of angel funding. So in the first 3 years, we didn't even have an office. We couldn't afford an office. So with that $500,000 of capital, finally, we were able to rent a room. I wouldn't even call this an office. It's a 200 square feet space. And the picture that you're looking at is the entire office. And we packed 11 people in that office. And you see Ivan at the corner over there. When he had to walk out of the office, he has to ask everyone to stand up because he couldn't walk through. And to ask our neighbor to take this picture for us, he had to step outside of the office, outside of the door frame. That's how small this office was. But we continued. We kept going. And then Wattpad started to continue to generate more traffic, attracted more users. And then finally, in year 2011, 5 years after we started the company, we raised our first round of funding from institutional investor, from an investor called Union Square Ventures in New York. Union Square Ventures may not be a household name, but the companies that they invested in, they were all household names. They were the first investor in Twitter. They were the first investor in Tumblr. They were the first investor in Foursquare, and many, many other household names that you probably are using every day. So when Union Square invested in Wattpad, all of a sudden, people start to think, okay, this is a company that nobody knows, but why would Union Square invest in this company? People started to take notice. And then in year 2012, with a little bit more funding, with a $3.5 million of funding, we were able to hire more people to help us. We were able to move into a bigger office. And when we opened up a new office, we invited Margaret Atwood through a common connection. We invited Margaret Atwood to our open house, to our grand opening. Why she came? Because she loves what we do. She loves the fact that we provided a platform for aspiring writers to share their stories freely to millions of people around the world. And an interesting anecdote, we had a foosball table, just like any other tech company, we have a foosball table in our office. And I invited Margaret to play foosball with me. It was the first time that she played foosball. And embarrassingly, we lost to her. But anyway, afterwards, we became good friends. Not because I lost to her. So in year 2012, towards the end of year 2012, finally the product is taking off. Finally the community is taking off. We're no longer signing up 100 users every month. We were signing up 10,000 users every day. So we had 5 million monthly users back then. So it really started to take off. And then in year 2014, Anna Todd, you are looking at her right now. She is an Army wife based in Texas, a stay-home mom. But she loves to write romance stories. And she shared her first story on Wattpad. And all of a sudden, it took off. Before you know, her story became the most popular story on Wattpad with over 1 billion chapter reads, 300 chapters. On each chapter, it's not uncommon that it has 50,000, if not 100,000 comments. So we took that story and co-published that with Simon & Schuster, and almost instantly it became an international bestseller. In year 2015, it was one of the best-selling books across the world. It was the #1 best-selling book in France, #1 best-selling book in Spain, #1 best-selling book in Russia, and the 4-book series, all 4 books, they were simultaneously in the top 10 in Colombia. It became a cultural phenomenon. And this year, in this summer, we are going to turn this story into a movie. We are going to shoot this in Vancouver. And then, last year, we expanded our vision. We are no longer just a reading app for people. We are no longer just a community for writers to share the stories. We became an entertainment company. We have partnership with NBC Universal and many other studios in Hollywood. We have a TV show in Philippines called Wattpad Presents. Each week we take one story off Wattpad and turn that into a 4-episode per week, 22-minute per episode TV drama. And that instantly became the #1 TV show in the Philippines for the young audience. And why we can achieve that is because of our data. Because all the stories that we turn into TV shows, print books, movies, they have the data to back them up. We understand why people are resonating with this story. And we have to build an audience as well. So today, 11 years after we started the company, we have over 130 people working in our downtown office. And we also have attracted international investors. We've raised over 120 we've raised about 120 million US dollars in capital. We are one of the most capitalized private tech companies in Canada with investors from around the world, including Tencent, including our sponsor tonight, BDC, and of course including Union Square, including investors from Silicon Valley, like Yahoo co-founder Jerry Yang is one of our investors as well. So this is a compressed version of our story, but if there's one thing that I want you to remember is we can do this in Canada. Canada is a small country, but the internet has leveled the playing field. We have access to billions of people around the world, so we can build an amazing company in Canada with the reach to any country around the world. But to do that, we need grit, we need perseverance, we need tenacity and effort. Thanks for listening. This is the first chapter of the Wattpad story. I hope I can come back in a few years. When we reach 1 billion users, I hope I can come back and share the remaining chapters of the Wattpad story. Thank you.